How's it going, everybody? I'm Jeff Slakey, and I am here at an awesome location for a real great community tour here today as we're going to be walking around the Simpson Railroad. You may also know it as the Peninsular Railway and Lumbermen's Museum. I'll put the links here to the show notes where you can come to the website and the Facebook page. Dale Campbell is going to walk us around here and show us some of these great old trains, and we're going to go on a train ride and see what it looks like out here. They have events. There's one in Easter coming up. There's more throughout the summer that we'll let you know about. But it's just a really cool time, and we're going to be taking a look at some of these great old trains. So Dale Campbell, Simpson
Railroad, our parent organization is the Peninsular Railway and Lumbermen's Museum. The word Peninsular comes from the original Simpson Railroad as it interchanged with other logging companies.
Okay.
Once they basically bought everybody out, they went private again. So this was a private railroad. It didn't interchange in a sense of freight or passenger service. So here we're walking over to locomotives 900 and 1200. 900 was built in 1955. It was the first diesel locomotive purchased by Simpson Timber for the Simpson Railroad operation. This directly replaced steam locomotives on this very railroad.
Wow.
It never left. 1200 was purchased along with its sister, the 1201, the following year.
So this says City of Elma. I see City of Shelton on those. What are those distinguished?
That was just a name they put on them as kind of a tribute to where they were operating, kind of connect with the communities that they serviced.
Yeah. Or
they ran in or whatnot.
So just on first look, this 900 looks bigger, but I'm guessing the 1200 has something more with...
They're approximately the same locomotive. That one is 300 horsepower greater.
Okay.
Pulling power wasn't too much different, but it was able to pull it basically just a bit faster. They had, and what's unique to these locomotives is kind of technical talk, is that it has dynamic braking.
Oh, can you show me what that?
Okay, the dynamic braking is this grill right here.
Okay.
And so what it is, it creates a reverse flow of turns the traction motors from the trucks into braking power, and so it helps resist the train as it's going down. Because from here down to Shelton-Matlock Road is a 3% grade.
Okay.
And so with the log cars, they needed to have some some braking and getting out of the hills too. You don't want to be able to control your train.
Can we get up there?
We can get up there. I don't have a key for the locomotive.
We can look in.
You can look in the engine.
How long would the shifts be for a worker in here?
Anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, just depending on what they were assigned to do.
Okay.
If they were just from here to the mill and back, there might be a shorter day.
Wow.
So engineer, if you want, you can look through the window. This is where the engineer would sit.
I see the earplug dispenser. How loud would it be?
Actually, it's not terribly loud inside the cab. The air horns are above you, and they're pointed away from the locomotive out towards would be the front, and for the grade crossings and such.
Is this still in service? Are you using
this? Is serviceable engine? Yes, both these locomotives are serviceable. They always need a little bit of work, but
sure,
that's the nature of locomotives,
and that's what you and the volunteers do.
Yes. We maintain both the locomotives. The other equipment that we'll probably see here in just a bit.
Yeah.
This is all operated and maintained by the volunteers.
How many volunteers?
Right now we have about 20.
So the volunteers have a love of trains, a history of
love of trains. Kind of unique to our organization. It's not just trains; it's the logging and lumber history of the area.
Sure.
These 10 miles between here and downtown Shelton was the last of the United States logging railroads still operating.
Wow.
And only one of two still operating towards the end here.
So this was used this Christmas, right here?
Yeah. This is a rail bus built most likely in the 20s. The history has been lost to time. It was found as a children's playhouse up in the Arlington area.
What? Imagine this as a playhouse.
The two gentlemen, the father and son team, acquired it and was restoring it, but didn't have a place to use it. And they had other projects ongoing, so they decided to go ahead and turn it over to us and donate it to us to get our operation going.
So how do you get it down here then?
They just put on a truck.
Okay.
This is just a car trailer, the tilt deck truck. It wasn't much of anything.
So what about, I mean, we talked about the history here, but explain just, if it wasn't for the logging and the trees, I mean, Shelton, there'd be
no reason for this to exist.
Yeah.
The logging industry started back in the late 1880s. And that's when the locomotives, there had been, the old steam locomotives, and there were several logging operations out in this area alone. Apparently at one time there was 3 different railroads that came out into the, to the west from Shelton. Over time, Simpson Timber basically bought everybody out.
Can we go in this caboose?
Yes, we can go in this one here. One of the unique things about this caboose, and it's kind of a piece of history into itself, is that it was built in 1981, and it was in the last order for commercially produced cabooses in the United States.
Wow.
So this is one of 3 sisters. All 3 sisters were ordered for the Chehalis Western, which was Weyerhaeuser's railroad subsidiary. When they shut down in, I believe it was 91, Simpson bought this particular caboose to replace some of the wooden cabooses that were, getting kind of rickety. And it's been here ever since. And this one being the only one of the 3 sisters that's never left logging service.
All right, well, let's go look in here. This is really cool. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, one of the problems we have is that even though we did 800 passengers or had 800 passengers for Christmas, there's still very little, people are still learning about us.
This is so cool. Look at this. So this at one time was like probably a wood stove.
Oil stove still works. We use it all the time.
That's crazy.
We had to clean out and do some, clean up to it, but it's just a diesel stove. Actually extremely fuel efficient, surprisingly. Go ahead and walk up in there. Just don't fall over.
Wow, look at these steps. That's something else. So who sits up here?
This would have been the conductor and or brakeman.
Okay.
And their job was to look over the log cars and to watch ahead. If something derailed, you would notice the cars being out of alignment, so you would have your emergency air brake here, and you could stop the train. Later years, they would have just used radio and said, "Hey, stop! We need to go check something."
Well, this is a comfortable chair.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, so I mean, you could be sitting in there for a couple hours, so they didn't want a wood chair or something that was
walkie-talkie holder.
Yep. So you see this history sign here we made, so when people, take a tour of it, they can stop and read what this, was about. If they need.
So sum total for the 3, $254,000 with tax for all 3. Is that a good deal?
Probably back then it was. Today would be an awesome deal.
Are cabooses like this still in use?
Not in mainline railroads. Short lines still use them.
Okay.
There is a handful of these that are used as what they call shoving platforms. And so they would have a place here for the brakeman to stand if they had to switch an industry. They had to go across a few grade crossings or something. Yeah. They could use this to shove, some distance. But in general terms, no, they've been phased out. Some short lines still use them.
What is it about trains? What's your history with all this?
With the Simpson here, I joined in approximately 2017 when I heard they were starting operations. I volunteered at another museum in the state and saw an opportunity to get one started from the ground up. Being a specific logging railroad, saving that was I think an important part of the history of not only the Olympic Peninsula but the entire state and Northwest, really. Yeah. But why trains? I mean, you could have gone. I could have went in saws. Yeah, or anything like that. Something I started. My dad got me started when I was about 10. And that just kept going from there. These things are huge, Dale. Can't you just work on model trains? Yeah. But they're almost as expensive, though, nowadays. Oh, right. What's this little thing? Well, this little locomotive is an old Davenport locomotive. This was donated to us. This helped build the Grand Coulee Dam. No way. Yeah. And this came out of I think it was a Poland treatment company up in Bellingham. Again, donated it needed a new home. And, they contacted us and said, hey, we got this locomotive for you and we'll drop it off if you want. So we said, okay.
So when you say it helped with the Grand Coulee, it means moving in?
Moving like cars of concrete.
So let's game this out a few years. What does this place look like what would you say?
In the near term, we are working towards starting the operations from Shelton out to here. It'll be a 10-mile ride. And getting that started is our first phase. The second phase would be is to build a logging camp style museum, kind of like a Grisdale.
Okay.
And so you would run our excursion train out into the woods, much like, in the 1900s.
Yeah.
And you would have your passengers drop off there and tour the logging camp.
You said a handful of volunteers, always looking for more?
Oh, yes, always looking for more. We're always in need. We have many projects under the works. Coach 1212 coming up here is one of our more important ones.
You've got an Easter event.
Yes, we have an Easter event coming up April 9th and 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You'll get a ride on the Simpson Railroad around the loop here. You'll stop off over at our operations center here, which will have an Easter egg patch, face painting for the kids. And then the next train that comes around, you'll be able to get back on the train and head back to your car. It's about an hour-long program. It was popular last year. Kids loved it. A little train ride and go hunt for Easter eggs with candy.
What is it about trains you think that people just are drawn to? I mean, I remember as a kid going in Lacey, and there was a place, Prime Connection. You go eat in the Prime, and you would eat in the restaurant car or something like that.
It's a draw. It's something different. It's kind of what do you want to say? Connection to the yesteryear. The child getting your train set for Christmas. This is just 12 inches to the scale foot.
Yeah.
And it's just something. Even on say Amtrak, kids get excited to ride the train.
I know. Well, then I'm a kid. I love getting on that train.
Oh, we're all big kids out here.
That's a fun. Can we go in there?
Yeah, we can go in there.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we've done some work on there that would be nice to show you.
What are we about? You say 10 miles out Shelton-Matlock Road?
10 rail miles out from downtown Shelton, which was measured from First Street there.
Okay. So is this a passenger car or was this
Yes, this was a American Car and Foundry, 1951 passenger car. It seat 60 folks. And this was on the Great Northern's premier train, the Empire Builder, which ran from Chicago to Seattle.
And you can kind of see the 50s. I mean, when I think about the...
Yeah, so this portion here, if you look at this car, is kind of two-toned at the moment.
Yeah.
This is how the car arrived.
Okay.
It had some dividers and other stuff that's been removed. This last summer, we prepared and repainted up to here. Removed the all these light fixtures, cleaned them up best we could, put them back in. These are this original. Everything in here was original. These light fixtures up above. They never left the car. They're still here. And so this next summer, as the weather gets better, we'll go ahead and clean up that end and repaint it. This color, part of the restoration of railroad equipment, much like a house or automobiles, you would sand through the layers of paint and find the original color. And so we matched that original color and painted it back as if it was 1951.
So in the 50s, what are some of the amenities? Obviously the lights.
The individual, these would have been, focused for each there. They're not, we don't have them wired in yet. Luggage racks are up above here. The men's bathroom, which was removed while it was used at Andy's Diner in Tukwila, which is now out of business. And then lastly, it was up in Bothell as a storefront.
So you said Chicago
to Seattle. It went over Stevens Pass and through the 7.9 mile tunnel, went over the Canadian Rockies. And basically, down Great Northern's the main line from Seattle to Chicago.
Here's kind of a picture, I guess.
So this is basically a sister car. And so when people ask what this looked like in service, there you go.
So there's the lights that we saw.
Yep.
And then the windows that match.
That's obviously a publicity photo.
Yeah, for sure. How fast do these trains go?
For us, up to 15 to 20 miles an hour. This car has seen 80 mile an hour service in its life.
80 miles an hour?
Yeah.
And that would be when? In the 50s?
Yep, 50s into the 60s.
I saw some other equipment over there, but I'm looking here at this thing.
Yeah.
Like one of these giant. Oh my gosh.
So that's a wrench that would go and tighten bolts.
Look at this thing. That's huge. SLC Camp 1 is in there.
Simpson Lumber Company Camp 1.
Okay.
So this, actually, I don't think I've ever seen that stamp on there. This is Camp 1 area over there by the shops. So this is a Simpson wrench. Looks like it got bought for the railroad and never left.
Wow. That is super cool.
So here's, if you wanted to replace a tie, that's how you drive the spikes back in.
Oh, that's a lot heavier than it looks. Even
Yep.
with that little thing. I remember as a kid walking on the tracks and finding a tie going, oh my gosh. Just like this right here.
Yep. Now that's a used spike that is not reusable, obviously.
Right, yeah. Huh.
You know you want to sing, and I've been working on that.
I do.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're not doing that. For a historic note,
Yeah.
this is Speeder 5.4.
Okay.
This was actually built by Simpson. This is a home-built speeder. They built it down in the roundhouse down at the downtown. This was one of their favorites because it was a little more weight to it, had a little more oomph, and they could pull ties. That's a tie cart, so they could fill it full of ties and take the crew out to go replace, say a section of a railroad that had deteriorated to a point that needed to get some work.
When this was actively used all the time, were people out monitoring the lines every day, every week, something like that?
Yes. And I didn't work for Simpson, but that's what this here is.
Okay.
Now you asked that question. This is what they call a nickname is a speeder. So this is the 5.3. This was bought by Simpson Timber in 1976. Never left the railroad. And so they would take this and then go out onto the line and check for, rocks, trees, or like a rainy season, slides or washouts before the big log trains would come through, because it's easier to put this back on a track than it is a log train.
Yeah.
One of its other features is, you see, we can sit up to about 8 workers.
Yeah.
They could tow one cart or maybe 2 lighter carts, and they can go out and spike track or do, vegetation maintenance. Sometimes they would work in conjunction with that one, depending on what was going on.
So after Easter, what's the summer look like?
We'll have a Father's Day operation. I got some cards that I'll give you.
Okay.
And then Halloween and Christmas are the known dates that we'll be operating.
Well, Dale, I appreciate you showing us around here, and this is really cool. It's quite a throwback to the days of yesteryear and such a rich history.
Yeah, that's our main reason for to be here is to preserve that history, give a sense of what it was like out here in the woods, and ride on a authentic logging train.
Yeah. Well, once again, we're here at the Peninsular Lumbermen's
Peninsular Railway and Lumbermen's Museum.
There we go. That's why we got you here,
Yeah.
Dale, to tell us the name.
Yeah, we do business as the Simpson Railroad, and everybody kind of identifies with that.
Yeah, the Simpson Railroad. And you guys have been out and about, too, at different events.
There's a lot of local train shows between Tacoma, Puyallup. There's a new one out in Elma that started this year. So we go out. We'll take the 5.5, which is a sister to this one. We'll drive it up onto a car trailer and take it to the show and let kids sit in it. And then we pass out information and to raise our awareness of who we are.
Every little bit helps.